this video is about. The mom was ignored by everyone until a mysterious millionaire called her name. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. Part 1. The Invisible Thread. The morning sun spilled through the kitchen window, illuminating the small, cluttered space filled with mismatched mugs and a mountain of laundry that seemed to grow like a stubborn weed. Rachel had long given up trying to maintain any sort of order in her home. Each day blended into the next, a continuous cycle of breakfast preparations, school runs, and endless chores. Her faded apron, adorned with flour stains and the remnants of last night's spaghetti sauce, hung like a badge of her unyielding devotion to her family. "Mom, where's my blue shirt?" A voice called from the hallway, breaking Rachel's reverie. It was Ethan, her 12-year-old son, whose every request had become a part of the dull rhythm of their life together. She shot him a glance, smiling softly despite the tension growing in her chest. "It's in the dryer, sweetie. I'll get it for you," she replied, her heart swelling with the warmth of motherhood even as her mind wandered to the neglected parts of herself. As she rummaged through the laundry, pulling out mismatched socks and forgotten toys, Rachel felt a familiar pang of isolation wash over her. She was proud of being a mother, but the exhaustion weighed heavily on her. Friends had drifted away, their lives moving at a pace she could no longer keep up with. Promotions, vacations, long-awaited pregnancies. Her world had shrunk to the confines of this house, yet she had learned to wear her solitude like a cloak, shielding herself from the suffocating loneliness that sometimes threatened to engulf her. The moment Ethan dashed past her, his tousled hair a wild explosion of energy, was a reminder of the joy he brought, even on the toughest days. "Thanks, Mom," he said, shooting her a quick smile that lit up his face before disappearing into the whirlwind of his morning routine. "Anytime, buddy," she called back, but even as she said it, she felt her heart ache with the realization that those moments were fleeting. Her son was growing up, and soon he wouldn't need her as much. The thought was a bittersweet reminder of her own fading identity. Rachel's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of her daughter, Lily, stomping into the kitchen, her brow furrowed in concentration. At just 9 years old, Lily was a force of nature, a bundle of energy and creativity. She tugged at Rachel's apron, breaking through the haze of her thoughts. "Mom, can I wear my fairy wings to school today?" Lily's voice was filled with that hopeful enthusiasm only a child could possess. Rachel hesitated, caught between the urge to indulge her daughter's whimsical spirit and the stern voice of practicality that reminded her of dress codes and potential teasing. "Honey, how about we save those for the weekend? You can be a fairy on Saturday and wow all your friends." Lily's face fell, disappointment clouding her bright blue eyes. "But Mom, they'll all be wearing costumes and I'll just be boring." Rachel knelt down, brushing a strand of hair away from Lily's forehead. "You will never be boring, my little fairy. You're special just as you are. How about we make a deal? If you wear a pretty dress today, I'll let you wear your wings tomorrow." The negotiations brought a flicker of a smile to Lily's lips. "Okay, but it has to be sparkly." "Sparkly it is," Rachel replied, ruffling her daughter's hair, her heart bursting with love for the little girl who was her mirror image, both in looks and spirit. As she helped Lily pick out an outfit, the doorbell chimed, sending a ripple of unease through Rachel. She wasn't expecting anyone. Most of her friends had stopped visiting long ago, and the few who did were often met with polite, overly quick conversations that spiraled into awkward silences. "Stay here, okay?" Rachel instructed, her voice steady despite the flutter in her stomach. She glanced back at the worn family calendar on the wall, its pages a testament to the days slipping by with barely a mark of her own. The door opened to reveal a man unlike any she'd seen in her neighborhood before. He was tall, with an air of confidence that immediately filled the space like sunlight breaking through the clouds. His tailored suit was dark and sharp, and his hair was tousled in a way that looked effortless yet deliberate. Rachel blinked, caught off guard not only by his striking appearance but also by the warmth in his deep-set, hazel eyes. "Hello, is this the Turner residence?" he asked, his voice smooth like polished wood. "Yes, it is," Rachel replied, though she felt a strange twist in her stomach. "Can I help you?" "Ah, so you're Rachel. I've heard quite a bit about you." He offered a smile, revealing a hint of mischief in the corner of his lips. Rachel's brow furrowed as confusion washed over her. "Heard about me? From whom?" "From a friend," he said, a playful glimmer in his gaze as he stepped closer. "My name is Daniel. I'm new in town and figured I'd introduce myself to the neighbors. This is a lovely community, don't you think?" "Right," Rachel replied, her heart thrumming nervously. She was not used to strangers showing interest, let alone exuding such a magnetic energy. "Nice to meet you, Daniel. I'm just busy with the kids." "Of course. You're a mother," he said, his tone shifting to something softer, more understanding. "You must have a lot on your plate." Rachel swallowed hard, suddenly hyper-aware of the dishes piled in the sink, the laundry still waiting to be folded. "It's just a regular morning, you know." "Regular or not, it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job." His compliment caught her off guard, stirring something deep inside her that she hadn't acknowledged in years. "Thank you," she murmured, unsure of how to respond. "What brought you to our neighborhood?" "I'm looking for a quiet place to start a new chapter in my life," he said, folding his arms across his chest, a pose of both confidence and comfort. "I've spent too long in the fast-paced city. It's time to reconnect with what really matters." Rachel blinked, taken aback by his vulnerability, even as her own walls began to rise again. "That sounds nice," she replied, but the irony of her own situation sat heavy in her chest. She longed for connection, yet was trapped in the mundane. "I don't mean to intrude," he said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "But if you ever need a break from the chaos, I'd love to take you out for coffee, just to hear your thoughts about this place." Rachel hesitated, her heart racing in a way it hadn't in years. "Coffee," she echoed, feeling the weight of her own life pressing down on her. "Yes, coffee," he said, and for a moment their eyes locked in a shared understanding of quiet desperation. "A moment for yourself. After all, we can't pour from an empty cup, can we?" Rachel inhaled sharply, caught off guard by the way his words resonated within her. She was just a mother, a caretaker, nothing more, nothing less. But the way he looked at her with genuine interest made her stomach flutter. Perhaps she deserved a moment to breathe, a moment to feel seen. "Maybe," she finally said, her voice trembling with the weight of possibility. "Maybe I could use that." Daniel's smile widened, and in that instant, Rachel felt an invisible thread weaving between them, a connection that transcended the boundaries of her tightly controlled world. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. "Good," he said, his voice low and reassuring. "How about we check in with each other this weekend? I can bring coffee to you, or we can find a nice cafe nearby." "Okay," she agreed, feeling a thrill of anticipation wrapping around her heart. "We can do that." As he turned to leave, Rachel felt a twinge of disappointment. She had opened a door she hadn't realized she was keeping shut. But as Daniel walked away, a strange sense of hope flickered within her, igniting a spark she had thought extinguished. Suddenly, the chaos of her morning felt less overwhelming, and for the first time in a long time, Rachel dared to dream of something more than the invisible threads that had bound her for years. Part 2, Breaching the Walls. The week that followed Daniel's unexpected visit was a whirlwind of emotions for Rachel. Each morning, as the sun broke through the horizon, she felt the gentle weight of anticipation settle in her chest. She had agreed to meet him for coffee, a simple gesture, yet it transformed her mundane routine into something shimmering with possibility. The thought of it made her heart race, particularly as she found herself daydreaming about the encounter while scrubbing dishes or folding laundry. Ethan and Lily remained blissfully unaware of the subtle shift in their mother's demeanor. Their needs consumed her, as they always did, and she found herself caught in the throes of parenthood, navigating their school projects, playdates, and constant requests for snacks. Yet, every fleeting moment of quiet was now punctuated by a flutter of nervous excitement. One afternoon, Rachel found herself in the cramped laundry room, a place that had become her sanctuary amidst the chaos of her home. As she folded shirts, she stared out of the small window, where the world outside buzzed with life, and she thought of Daniel. His laughter, warm and infectious, lingered in her mind. It was a sound that felt foreign yet comforting, a melody she hadn't realized she craved. "Mom," Ethan's voice broke through her reverie. "Can I have a friend over this Saturday?" The question sent a pang through her. Saturday was supposed to be her day with Daniel. She contemplated the inevitable chaos that would come with hosting an extra child, but part of her yearned to say yes, to create a semblance of normalcy for her son. "Okay, sure. Just one friend, though," she replied, forcing a smile even as the prospect of her plans began to crumble. "Awesome. Can I invite Leo?" Ethan's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Of course. Just remember to clean up after yourselves," Rachel replied, her voice laced with a hint of exasperation. But there was also warmth, a reminder of how much she adored her children. They were her world, even if it felt like her own needs were perpetually pushed aside. "Thanks, Mom," he exclaimed, racing out of the laundry room, leaving Rachel alone yet again. As the weekend approached, Rachel found herself oscillating between excitement and anxiety. She wanted to connect with Daniel, to reveal parts of herself that had long been buried, but the reality of her obligations weighed heavily on her. Words of encouragement echoed in her mind. "You can't pour from an empty cup." Yet, the cup remained half full, teetering on the brink of overflow. Saturday dawned bright and clear, a perfect day for an outing. Rachel dressed with care, choosing a simple yet flattering blue dress that flowed gracefully around her knees, the color accentuating her eyes. She stood in front of the bathroom mirror, hesitating for a moment as she applied just a hint of makeup. It felt strange, almost indulgent, yet liberating. "Just coffee," she murmured to herself, but the thrill in her voice betrayed her. The clock ticked closer to noon, and her heart raced with both anticipation and trepidation. She quickly prepared for Ethan's friend's arrival, making sandwiches and setting up the living room for their impending chaos. Lily darted around, her fairy wings clanking against the furniture, and Rachel couldn't help but smile at her daughter's enthusiasm. Ethan's friend arrived, a shy boy with a mop of brown hair and a penchant for video games. Rachel welcomed him, though her mind remained preoccupied with thoughts of Daniel. They played in the backyard, laughter spilling through the open window. Yet Rachel's thoughts wandered to the man who had made her feel seen for the first time in years. The hours slipped by, and as the afternoon sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the lawn, Rachel's phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel, looking forward to our coffee date. "What time works for you?" Her heart leapt. Glancing at the clock, she realized she had just enough time to fit him in. "How about 4:00?" She replied, her fingers trembling slightly as she hit send. The response came almost instantly. "Perfect. I'll bring the coffee." Rachel felt a warmth blossom in her chest. She replied with a simple, smiley face and hurried to finish tidying the kitchen, her heart racing at the thought of their meeting. After what felt like an eternity, she finally told Ethan and Leo that she would be heading out for a short while. "Can you guys manage here?" she asked, her voice layered with the hope that they wouldn't require her attention for the next hour. "Yeah, we're good. Mom, don't worry," Ethan assured her, his eyes glued to the screen of his video game. With one last look at her children, Rachel grabbed her purse and slipped out the door, the sound of their laughter fading behind her. As she drove to the cafe, the world outside blurred into a whirl of color, her mind racing with thoughts of what she would say to Daniel. Would she reveal her dreams, her fears? Or would she settle for casual conversation that kept the walls between them intact? The cafe was quaint, a charming little spot with flower boxes lining the windows and the scent of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. Rachel stepped in, her heart pounding as she scanned the room for Daniel. There he was, sitting at a corner table, a mug already in front of him. He looked up as she approached, a broad smile spreading across his face, and for a moment the chaos of her life faded into the background. "Rachel," he greeted warmly, standing to pull out a chair for her. "I'm glad you could make it." "Thanks for inviting me," she replied, feeling the flutter in her chest intensify as she settled into the chair across from him. "I could use this." "I'm glad to hear that," he said, pouring a cup of coffee from a steaming carafe on the table. "I hope you like dark roast. It's my favorite." "I'll give it a try," she said, accepting the cup he offered, their fingers brushing against each other for just a brief moment. A spark of electricity coursed through her, and she felt herself blush. Daniel's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "How's your week been? I hope the kids haven't kept you too busy." "Busy is an understatement," Rachel chuckled, the sound light and airy. "But they're happy, and that's what matters." "True," he agreed, leaning forward slightly, his expression earnest. "But tell me more about you, Rachel. What do you enjoy outside of being a mom?" The question caught her off guard. She hadn't thought about it in so long. "I used to enjoy painting," she admitted, the words spilling out before she could fully contemplate their weight. "Before the kids, I'd spend hours with a canvas, losing myself in colors and shapes. But now, I can't remember the last time I picked up a brush." "Why not?" he asked, genuinely interested. "I don't know," she replied, the admission tasting bittersweet on her tongue. "Life just happened. I got wrapped up in being a mom and everything else faded into the background." "Life has a way of doing that," he said softly, his gaze penetrating. "But it doesn't have to stay that way. You have dreams, don't you? Passion." Rachel felt a warmth spreading through her, illuminated by the way he looked at her, like she was a mystery waiting to be unraveled. "I suppose I do. I just haven't had time to explore them." "Let's change that," he suggested, his voice low and inviting, weaving an intoxicating thread of possibility between them. "Let's find a way to help you rediscover that spark." She felt her heart race, a mixture of longing and apprehension swirling within her. "You think it's possible?" "Absolutely," he replied, his confidence wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "Life is meant to be lived fully, and you deserve to live yours beyond these walls." The moment hung between them, rich with unspoken words and shared understanding. Rachel felt a connection growing, a delicate thread weaving through the air, binding them together in a world that felt impossibly vast yet small enough to hold their quiet conversation. As they talked, laughter mingled with deeper discussions. Daniel shared snippets of his life, his struggles, and his dreams. Rachel found herself opening up in a way she hadn't expected, revealing pieces of herself that had been tucked away for too long. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, bathing the cafe in a golden glow, Rachel felt the weight of reality settling around her once again. The responsibilities of motherhood loomed in her mind, a reminder of the daily demands waiting for her at home. Yet in Daniel's presence, the burdens felt lighter, as though he could somehow see the woman beneath the layers of motherhood, a woman filled with dreams yet to be realized. "Rachel," he said, breaking through her thoughts, his voice softening, "can we do this again?" Her heart soared. Yes, I'd like that." As they finished their coffee, Rachel felt a thrill of anticipation igniting within her. The invisible threads of her life were beginning to shift, and for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope, a chance to reclaim the parts of herself that had been lost in the chaos of motherhood. Part 3. The threads we weave. The days turned into weeks, and Rachel's life began to blossom in unexpected ways. Coffee with Daniel transformed from a singular event into a cherished ritual, a touchstone in her week that she began to anticipate with an eagerness she thought long extinguished. Each meeting felt like an unraveling tapestry. The more they talked, the more threads they pulled free, revealing colorful patterns hidden beneath the mundane layers of her daily existence. They met at various cafes, each one a little haven where laughter and conversation flowed freely, painting over the gray edges of Rachel's life. Daniel would lean forward, his hazel eyes sparkling with genuine interest as he listened to her recount tales of parenting mishaps, the joy and chaos of her children's antics. He brought her stories of his own life, tales from a high-powered corporate world that felt worlds apart from the suburban existence Rachel had embraced, but also craved to escape from, if only for a little while. "Tell me again about this painting you did," he prompted one afternoon as they sat beneath the dappled shade of an outdoor cafe, the gentle hum of the city life around them a comforting backdrop. He had a way of bringing the conversation back to her dreams, to the essence of Rachel beyond her title as mother. "It was just a simple, still life," she said, her voice softening as memories washed over her. "I painted a bowl of fruit, but it was more about the colors than anything else. They were vibrant and alive, unlike the muted shades of my daily routine." "Did you keep it?" he pressed, the warmth in his voice urging her to delve deeper. "No, I gave it to my mother. She loved it so much, and my little apartment couldn't keep it. It felt right, like a fragment of my creativity was living on in her home." "Your mother sounds like a wise woman," he said, a smile teasing the corners of his mouth. "Do you think she knows how much you've got inside you yet?" Rachel hesitated, her heart aching at the thought. "I don't think so. I've been so focused on the children that I've lost sight of myself. I used to be more than just Rachel, the mom, you know. I had passions, dreams." "Let's change that," he said, leaning closer, the intensity in his gaze making her pulse quicken. "I want to help you find your spark again. What if we did some painting together, just for fun?" Together, the idea was both electrifying and daunting. The thought of being in front of a canvas again sent a thrill through her, but the idea of exposing her creative self to him tugged at her insecurities. "Why not? It could be liberating," he encouraged, his voice low and coaxing. "You can show me how it's done. I promise I won't be judgmental, just an eager student." Rachel couldn't help but laugh, the tension in her shoulders easing at the sound of his playful challenge. "I'm not sure you'd want to be seen with a novice like me. Trust me, I have faith in your abilities," he said, a sincere smile brightening his features. "And besides, it's all about having fun, right?" She thought about it, her heart fluttering with excitement. "Okay, let's do it, but it might end up more chaotic than you expect." Daniel's eyes twinkled with mischief. "I thrive on chaos. It keeps things interesting." As they continued their conversation, Rachel basked in the lightness of their connection. They painted plans of art sessions and laughter, dreams interweaving in a way that bolstered her spirit. Each meeting with Daniel felt like a bridge, beckoning her back to the vibrant parts of herself, she had long neglected. But as their connection deepened, the complexities of Rachel's life began to surface in ways she hadn't anticipated. The more she opened up to Daniel, the more she felt her old fears creeping back in. One evening, after a particularly delightful afternoon of painting and sharing stories, she hesitated in her car as she pulled into her driveway, the weight of her responsibilities pressing heavily upon her. She watched through the window as Ethan played video games, his laughter ringing through the house, while Lily danced around the living room in her fairy wings, blissfully unaware of the turmoil brewing inside Rachel. She hurriedly glanced in the rearview mirror, taking in her reflection. The woman staring back was filled with conflicting emotions. Hope and guilt waged war inside her. When she entered the house, the cacophony of childhood filled her senses. "Mom, look!" Lily twirled, her wings shimmering as she reached her arms out to embrace the moment. "Beautiful, sweetheart," Rachel said, forcing a smile, but inside, she felt the fissures of doubt and insecurity begin to creep in. She was stepping into a world of vibrant colors with Daniel, but returning to her reality felt like slipping back into a grayscale existence. "Can I wear my wings to school tomorrow?" Lily asked, her eyes pleading. "Of course," Rachel replied, her heart aching at the thought of denying her daughter even the smallest joy. "And maybe we can add some sparkles to them together." "Yay!" Lily jumped up and down, her excitement infectious. Rachel's heart swelled as she watched her daughter dance. In that moment, she thought of how much she loved her children, how fiercely she wanted them to have the best life possible. But deep down, the need for her own identity pushed harder, creating a tension that left her feeling bereft. The following day, as she navigated through her responsibilities, thoughts of Daniel lingered in the back of her mind, a soft whisper urging her to reclaim the vibrant parts of herself. Yet every time she picked up a brush, doubts clouded her mind. Was it selfish to want more? Would her children understand? Days spun into weeks, and as Rachel struggled with the balance between motherhood and her yearning for connection, she found herself increasingly torn. One Thursday evening, while preparing dinner for the family, she received a text from Daniel. "How about we paint this weekend? I found a local art studio that does classes." Her heart raced at the thought, but with it came a wave of anxiety. She glanced around the kitchen, the remnants of her day scattered across the counters. "I can't," she typed back. "I have the kids." "But they can join. It'll be fun," he replied. Rachel paused, her mind whirling. The thought of including Ethan and Lily in this venture flickered with possibility, yet the fear of facing Daniel alongside her children made her hesitate. "I need to think about it," she finally texted back, feeling the weight of uncertainty press upon her. That evening, when Daniel called to check in, Rachel felt the weight of her indecision hang heavily in the air. "Rachel," his voice was warm, but there was an edge of concern. "Are you okay? You seem a bit distant." "I'm fine," she replied, but it felt like a lie even as the words left her mouth. "Rachel," he pressed gently, "you can talk to me. I want to be there for you. I want to understand what you're feeling." It was the warmth in his voice that brought tears to her eyes, the sincerity of his concern washing over her like a tide. "It's just, I'm juggling everything. The kids need me, and I feel like I'm failing them if I take time for myself." "You're not failing them," he said, his tone firm yet tender. "You're showing them that it's important to pursue your passions, to be more than just a caregiver. Isn't that what we all want?" Rachel inhaled deeply, his words echoing through the silence of her heart. "I want that too, but the guilt is suffocating." "I understand," he said softly, the understanding in his voice cutting through her defenses. "But you deserve to find joy in your life too. Let's make this a family outing. We'll all paint together, and who knows, it might inspire all of you." Her heart fluttered at the idea, at the thought of Daniel being part of her family's chaos. "Okay," she breathed, the decision feeling both liberating and frightening. "Let's do it." As they finalized the details, Rachel felt a spark of hope ignite within her, the invisible threads of her life weaving a new tapestry. She was ready to embrace the chaos, to intertwine her passion with motherhood, ready to show her children that it was okay to dream, to paint their lives in glorious colors, and to let those hues ripple out into the world. On that bright Saturday, as the four of them arrived at the art studio, the air was thick with energy, anticipation buzzing between them. Daniel walked beside her, his easygoing presence anchoring her excitement while Ethan and Lily raced ahead, laughter spilling from their lips. As they entered the studio, vibrant canvases adorned the walls, and the scent of paint drifted through the air. Rachel's heart raced. She could already feel the spark of creativity igniting within her. "Are you ready?" Daniel asked, glancing at her, his gaze warm and encouraging. "More than ever," she replied, a smile breaking through her apprehension. As they picked up brushes and let their imaginations run wild, Rachel felt a joy she hadn't experienced in years. The colors flowed freely, laughter mingling with the strokes of paint. Part 4, Colors of Connection. The art studio was alive with the chatter of creativity, laughter spilling from clusters of parents and children, each lost in their own world of color and imagination. The walls, adorned with an explosion of hues, seemed to breathe life into the space, inviting Rachel to shed her doubts and embrace the moment. As they set up their easels, Daniel placed a steadying hand on Rachel's shoulder, his touch igniting a spark of comfort and excitement. "Ready to unleash your inner artist?" he asked, his hazel eyes twinkling with encouragement. "More than ever," she replied, her voice infused with newfound determination. The weight of her insecurities began to lift, replaced by a wave of anticipation that surged through her. Ethan and Lily had already claimed their canvases, the latter bouncing on her toes, her fairy wings catching the light as she looked at her mother with sparkling blue eyes. "Mom, I'm going to paint a magical forest," she declared, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. "Great idea, sweetheart. I can't wait to see it," Rachel said, her heart swelling with pride as she watched Lily grab a palette of greens and browns, her small hands mixing colors with a determination that seemed to mirror Rachel's own unspoken desires. Ethan, meanwhile, was engrossed in a whirlwind of colors, a determined frown creasing his brow as he contemplated his own masterpiece. "I'm going to make the best sunset ever," he exclaimed, his youthful exuberance infectious as he picked up a brush with a flourish. "Make sure to use lots of colors, buddy," Rachel encouraged, the joy of watching her children express themselves washing over her like a warm tide. As she turned to her own canvas, blank and waiting, Rachel felt a heady mix of excitement and fear. She picked up her brush, swirling it in a pool of bright red. The color felt bold against the stark white, a declaration of her intent to reclaim her identity. She was no longer just Rachel, the mother. She was Rachel, the artist. "Look," Lily piped up, her tiny voice slicing through Rachel's concentration. "I'm making a rainbow. Can you help me make it sparkly, Mom?" Rachel smiled, her heart warmed by Lily's innocent enthusiasm. "Of course. We'll add some glitter to it once it's dry." She knelt beside her daughter, mixing colors for the rainbow together, their cheeks brushing as they leaned over the canvas. "Daniel, what are you going to paint?" Ethan asked, looking up with curiosity as he dipped his brush into a bright orange. "I think I'll try my hand at a cityscape," Daniel replied, glancing at Rachel with a playful glimmer in his eyes. "But I might just end up with an abstract mess. What do you think?" "Messy can be beautiful," Lily declared, her small voice filled with the wisdom only a child could possess, causing everyone around to chuckle. Rachel turned to Daniel, her heart fluttering as she caught his gaze. "I think your city will be vibrant and full of life, just like you," she said, her voice low but steady, the underlying chemistry between them crackling like static in the air. Daniel smiled, a warmth enveloping his features. "I appreciate that. Your belief in me means a lot." He then leaned closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "But if it goes terribly wrong, I'm blaming you." "Fair enough," she laughed, feeling lighter with each brushstroke. As they painted, Rachel lost herself in the vibrant colors, the strokes of her brush a release of pent-up creativity. Every flick and swirl became a dance, a reminder that she was more than just a caregiver. With each layer she added to her canvas, she felt the invisible threads of her identity weaving themselves back together, forming a tapestry rich with color and complexity. "Mom, look at my forest," Lily exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. Rachel turned to see her daughter's canvas, a riot of greens and browns swirling into a magical landscape. "It's beautiful, Lily. I love how you captured the trees." Rachel replied, her heart swelling with pride. The joy radiating from her daughter was infectious, filling the room with a warmth that enveloped them all. "Can you help me add some sparkles?" Lily asked, her blue eyes wide with anticipation. "Absolutely," Rachel replied, reaching for the container of glitter. As she sprinkled the fine sparkles over the canvas, she felt a sense of connection deepen not just with Lily but with the moment itself, a fragile yet vibrant thread that tied them together. Just like magic, Lily squealed, her laughter ringing through the studio. Ethan, not to be left out, hurried over. "Can I add some sparkles to mine too?" he asked, his face alight with enthusiasm. "Of course, the more the merrier," Rachel said, the joy of being surrounded by her children lifting her spirits higher. "Daniel, are you going to add sparkles to your city?" Ethan teased, a mischievous grin on his face. "Maybe if I really mess up," he quipped back, his laughter echoing around them. "But I think I'll stick to the classic look for now." As they continued painting, the conversations flowed freely, punctuated by laughter and playful banter. Daniel would occasionally lean closer to Rachel, their arms brushing against each other, igniting a thrill that spiraled through her. Each shared glance, each casual touch felt electric, weaving an invisible thread of connection that only deepened with every passing moment. "You know," Daniel said after a lull in conversation, "I really admire how you balance everything. It's not easy, and yet you're here, creating with your kids. That's something special." Rachel felt her heart swell at his words. "Thank you, Daniel. It's a juggling act for sure, but moments like this make it all worthwhile." She paused, her voice softening as she added, "I've realized that I need to embrace this part of myself, this creative side I've neglected for too long." "Good," he said, his voice low and sincere. "You deserve to feel whole, Rachel. It's a beautiful thing to see you reconnecting with that spark. You're not just a mother, you're a person with dreams and desires." His words struck a chord within her, and she felt a rush of gratitude for the path they were forging together. "You make it easier to remember that," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then let's keep creating together," he replied, a gentle smile spreading across his face. "Not just today, but beyond this canvas." The intimacy of his words hung in the air between them, a promise laced with hope. Rachel felt a flutter of something deeper, a connection that transcended time and circumstance, a bond woven through shared experiences, laughter, and the act of creation. As the hours passed, their canvases began to fill with life. Rachel's painting transformed into an explosion of color, a kaleidoscope of emotions and experiences, a reflection of her journey back to herself. "Wow, Mom, Ethan exclaimed as he finished his sunset. "That's amazing, look at all the colors." "Yours is incredible too, buddy. You really captured the beauty of the sky," Rachel said, the pride swelling in her chest as she looked at their paintings, each a testament to their individual journeys. "Can we hang them up at home?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Absolutely. They'll be front and center," Rachel promised, her heart full. As they stepped back to admire their collective creations, the energy in the room shifted, an unspoken understanding passing between Rachel and Daniel. The way he looked at her, filled with admiration and warmth, sent her heart racing. "Let's do a group picture," Daniel suggested, pulling out his phone. "I want to capture this moment." They huddled together, laughter spilling from their lips as they squeezed into the frame, arms draped over each other's shoulders. Rachel felt Daniel's warmth at her side, the excitement and joy of the day reflecting in their smiles. "Say creativity," Daniel called out, snapping the picture just as laughter erupted around them. "Creativity." They all shouted in unison, the word ringing through the studio, a celebration of the vibrant connections they had forged that day. As they began to clean up, Rachel felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. The chaos and noise of motherhood had not only been embraced, but transformed into something beautiful, a canvas filled with love, laughter, and newfound connections. "Thank you for today, Daniel. I didn't realize how much I needed this," Rachel said, her voice thick with emotion as she packed away her supplies. "It was a pleasure to share this with you and your kids," he replied, a warm smile lighting up his face. "I'm looking forward to our next adventure." "Me too," she said, a bright smile spreading across her lips. "I mean it. I want to keep exploring this side of myself." "You will," he promised, the sincerity in his voice wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. "Just remember, you're not alone in this journey." As they stepped outside, the sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the neighborhood. Rachel took a deep breath, the air rich with the scent of possibility. The invisible threads that had once bound her felt lighter now, no longer suffocating,